I know it has been a few days since the Panthers played the Packers, but I'll be darned if I don't get to talk about Bryce Young's performance in that game. Bryce Young had his best and most productive game of his young NFL career against the Packers, and it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good.
And you know what? I'm not even going to make this all about Bryce. I'm going to say the offense, because there were plays that Bryce made that I was like, oh no, right? Stephen Sullivan, the tight end, going down the left side of the field, was wide open for a touchdown, and Bryce underthrew him, and it was incomplete. And I remember watching that going, Bryce is playing pretty well today. And that throw is all anyone's going to talk about, because it's similar to the missing of Mingo in the seam 3 or 4 weeks ago, whatever that was. It's similar to a few others where it's like the Panthers are just not a good enough offense to miss open touchdown opportunities, and they're going to stick out, and people are going to crush him for it, even though he's been playing well. And then they scored on the drive anyway, and I went, oh, wait a second, hold on. This offense just made up for a mistake. What is going on here? Maybe it's a new Panthers offense. It's that moment, ready for a movie reference, in Happy Gilmore, where they're like, uh-oh, he misses the putt, and here comes the putter throw, and then he just stops throwing it, like he doesn't let go of the putter, and they're like, oh, wait. Maybe it's a new Happy Gilmore. I had that moment where I'm like, uh-oh, it was a bad throw by Bryce Young. Here comes the collapse of the offense, and then everyone's going to point to one bad throw by Bryce Young and say you can't miss it. I was going to have to come on the show and say you can't miss that throw. You're not good enough to miss that throw. And then they scored, and I went, oh, wait. Maybe this is a new Panthers offense. They didn't completely throw the putter and melt down. It was really the first time the offense was making up for mistakes, and they needed to, because at times the defense was getting gashed, right? Credit to Jordan Love. Credit to Aaron Jones, who made plays in the running game. Like, the Packers were scoring points. And the defense, which had carried the offense for much of the year in whatever games they were competitive in, looked to the offense and said, you're going to have to score 30. And then guess what? The offense scored 30. What happened here? It was very much a new experience for me. Here's Bryce Young on if Sunday was their best game this year.
Really, I think it's as good as we've looked as a unit, and whatever stats or whatever it may say, you point at one person, you say, oh, it's a good game. It's all of us. I think this was a good building block for us as a unit. And again, that's all 11, and plus, with all the substitution, of course, we all stepped up. There's obviously still stuff to clean up, myself first and foremost, and then us unit. There's still stuff we left out there, stuff we got to get better at and keep improving at, and ultimately it wasn't enough. So, we got to be better, but it's a good place for us to build from as a unit.
Ultimately, it wasn't enough. He still lost the game, but pretty good, right? It's something to build off of. The defense asked the offense to keep up with another team, and they did it. They came back. It was 30-30 in the final minutes. That's a real, legitimate, competitive NFL game. Now, the defense gave up the game-winning drive on the field goal with 19 seconds left, so you'd like for that not to happen. You'd like to at least go to OT. But I want to talk about, this is how big of a game this was. I want to talk about the last 19 seconds, right? Once the offense gets the ball and they have 19 seconds to get into field goal range, and they, by the way, they don't win, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. They
spoiler alert.
They don't win the game. Yeah, exactly. Spoiling an NFL game from Sunday on Wednesday. If it's sitting on your TiVo, get in 2023 with the rest of us as it's time to go to 2024. The last 19 seconds, they were very, very impressive as far as the belief of that team. Because guess what? That offense, with 19 seconds left, has no business getting anywhere near field goal range based on the first, 15 games we'd seen them play. They had no business getting in field goal range. And then, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dennis, maybe it's recency bias. The corner to DJ Chark, best throw of the year from Bryce?
One of them.
I mean,
It's up there.
That thing didn't have 2 feet of space. It needed to be in a 8-inch by 8-inch hole, right? It needed to be in a little window, if you will, and he dropped it in there pretty impressively.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the sideline, which the defense is told don't let him catch it near the sideline, and a toe tapping catch in that situation is unbelievable.
Had to have the power and the touch on that throw.
The confidence, that just so much, and you needed to have the belief, right? Offensive line gave him time. That meant the offensive line was like, hey, if we give him time, we got a shot here, which is not easy to instill that belief with 19 seconds left. Then an easy dig to Adam Thielen to get in field goal range. The ball was in field goal range, and they ran out of time before they could run up there and spike it. If you want to be nitpicky, I guess you could say they needed to play the sidelines again, but I think that was a risk worth taking.
Yeah.
You tell everybody, get on the line as quickly as we possibly can, and if you snap it with 1 second left, or if you spike it with 1 second left, you get a field goal. I like the chances of completing that ball, getting down there and spiking it, probably better than getting something in on the sideline like you did on the previous play, because that play was wildly unlikely to work. You can't, as good as Bryce was, you can't just say like, "Hey, throw that 1% pass and complete it again." It's just, as anyone that gambles will know, you can get one of them. It's harder to parlay it. So don't parlay it. Just take the safe shot. And it just the confidence. Bryce was moving with determination. It was the first time it looked like it clicked for him. It was the first time it looked like it clicked for him. Because we've seen him make game-winning drives, right? I'm sitting here hyping up a drive that was almost a game-winning drive. You might be saying, what have you seen that's new? He has 2 actual game-winning drives this year. I'll say this. Those drives were like 18 and 17 plays. They were game-winning drives, but they took minutes. There was poise involved in not being in a rush because you had time on the clock.
I mean, that one against Atlanta was 7.5 minutes.
It's very different when you get it and you need to be in go, 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 go mode. Can't think, react, can't think, react. I was very impressed. Thus, for the Bryceometer, dare I say, we're back.
Oh, we're back.
We're back to neutral. We are back to that's my quarterback, dead center. This is where we started at the beginning of the year. Now, we spent a 3 or 4 week stretch about as low as we could go without replacing Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. And over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've inched our way up. We are back to neutral. That is an accomplishment. You are no longer in a hole with Bryce Young. You are no longer in a hole. Now, that's not to say you're like, shooting for the stars quite yet, but you're at sea level. You are no longer in a detriment.
By the way, the last 2 weeks, according to Pro Football Focus, is grade 84.3, which is, over the last 2 weeks, 5th best in the NFL.
I mean, his rating was 110 this week.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the advanced analytics liked it, and I'll, double down and triple down on it by saying the eye test liked it.
Oh, yeah.
He was making throws that show something clicked. Now, it can click out of it just as easy as you can click in it, but something clicked, and I've done this a few times this year. If you've bashed his wide receivers in the past, give them some credit.
Oh, yeah.
There were some fingertip catches made right on the doorstep of big-time contact, and they held on. There were catches made on the sidelines. There were routes won. There were open receivers, something that we haven't seen a lot of. So, as loud as you were in hating them, maybe you should be as loud loving up on them after a game like that.